Guys, how's everybody? Everybody's doing good. It's turned spring here. It was cold and raining and trying to snow last week. Um, like 80 degrees yesterday, and I've already been out. You can see, got into poison vine. I'm just one of them people that, I don't know, I just can't stay away from it. I guess I love it too much, but I think we've got the right piston now. We did switch brands. Finding a good quality piston aftermarket for that 54 millimeter, something you don't have to wait 3 weeks to get. I don't know, it's getting harder and harder to do. When I checked for this, even Wolf Creek didn't have anything at the time. What was weird, this one come from HL Supply. It's a Cross. I've used some Cross performance stuff. It's not a pop-up, it's just a, flat top replacement piston, but it looked every bit just as good as the Highway or as Meteor would, within that same price category. So that's what we've got. If you missed the last video, our Highway piston we'd ordered ended up being a big bore piston, and when I went back and looked, I'll go ahead and take the fall for it. It was my fault. Clearly in the listing it said this is a 56 millimeter piston. Probably sat and ordered it from my phone or something and didn't notice. It happens. Whatever. We're hoping now that we can get the top end on this thing. That's the plan for today. And alright guys, what I've done now off camera is I've went ahead and this will probably be clipped and chopped and put together. You just have to give me a break. It's been one of them days. I'm only showing it because I'd had one of you gentlemen ask if I'd show a little bit of the reassembly. Just, I guess, share what little tips I know on it. Really not that big of an issue. It's all just straightforward. If you can pull it apart, you can take it back together. And I've honestly not used one of these new T-handles yet, and I've had them here for a couple of weeks, so kind of looking forward to that here. And this is a base gasket build. We're just going back all OEM, and honestly, if I could have found a good OE piston to go back on it affordably, I probably would have. But I'm that guy, I'm not really afraid to use aftermarket stuff at all, if it's good quality. I've gotten stuff here I've ordered that was really questionable that, I wouldn't put on the another man's saw, but that Cross stuff looked pretty good. I've used a couple of them. These are a lot easier to get the intake boot in than, say, on a smaller saw like an 026 or something. I think we're in enough to bolt the cylinder down. There it is. They'll usually pop right back in that boot. And then you got your little sleeve goes in, carburetor. We got to rebuild this carb. We got a fuel line put in the tank. So we've got a few little things to do on this build. One thing I didn't think about is if that would clear the handlebar. Gotta love it when you hit the hole the first try. No pun intended. Somebody will though. That one went right in as well. Good deal. That's a good, nice, smooth filling T-handle. Those are the bolts that have the recesses on the back that makes them like I ain't gonna say like a poly lock, but it's kind of like using a lock washer. You'll feel them grab as you're torquing it down. And you don't have to get crazy with these. I've stripped cylinder head bolts on smaller saws. don't do that. It only causes you headache and grief. You want to torque in a crisscross pattern, then once you get them all, you're welcome just to, work your way back around. Give them a little snug, and those feel good and nice. I will say I like that T-handle. It's not the cheapest tool you'll buy at Harbor Freight, but it's a good quality filling piece. I'd recommend buying it just after using it once. That sounds and feels nice. We'll get a good ring seat on that. I guess what we'll have to do next is I'm gonna get the fuel line out. And I don't know if I mentioned it in the last video, but I did put a new impulse line on this. I didn't order one, but I was lucky enough. One of my, like if I order kits that's just got all the rubber pieces, then sometimes you'll order an extra part, you'll end up with extra lines and hoses laying around your shop. Alright guys, if you've not fooled with one of these, the way these are, they're a two-piece fuel line system. A lot of your Stihls actually went to that on a lot of their stuff. What you have is you have an in-tank fuel line. It's a little short line. And then up top you have this elbow that goes in. And they really should have done this on a lot of other saws, in my opinion. Then you have just a piece of just regular old fuel line will go from here to the carb. Like a lot of your Stihl saws, even the OEM line, when you go to put it in, like say a 029 or 1127 series saw, they are horrible for the fuel line to kink. They're not the only saw, there's a lot of them. I've gotten a lot of them here, and really honestly that's the only thing you find wrong with them. And that line is not supposed to pull out of there that easy. It's just pulling apart. Yeah, normally you want to take your long needle nose and grab the line and pull it out. Alright guys, I've got that old fuel line out. Got the strainer out. Ready to drop the new line down in. Like I said, I don't know how I'll do this. It'll be chopped and pieced together, just whatever I can do. Okay guys, so on that line, maybe I can get this camera to zoom in. We'll see. If I can find one of my little flashlights here without knocking everything out of the way. Maybe you can see, yeah, you can see it, how that line needs to go. The strainer needs to drop down toward the back of the tank. What I've got to do now is I've got to pull the fuel line out, and we're going to put a new strainer on, and we'll be done with this part of the ordeal. Alright guys, strainer. I've got that line out and held the pair of hemostats. Got it popped on. And she just lays right back in. Her fuel cap on. And if you notice, it had a red cap on it before. I had to change it. The old cap, the gasket was hanging out of it and swelled up. And I'm hoping this one's good and holds pressure. If not, it'll set us back a little longer. We'll have to get a fuel cap gasket. Or maybe even fuel caps. I don't even know that you can buy that gasket anymore. I'm sure you can. The next thing we'll do is, see where I've got you guys at. I'm going to back this lens out just a little. We're going to put this elbow back down in. And when you push that fuel line in, don't be surprised if it goes in easier than normal. Because the way this is set up is when this elbow goes in, it swells things out and holds it in tight. I like the setup. The first one I've done, I was like, man, that's kind of crazy, but we can bring it in closer. Hopefully you can see the way that's set, and I can see it through the monitor, so I know you guys can see it. First one I done, I was like, man, this setup's crazy. And honestly, my 064, it has a one-piece line that comes up to the carburetor, so if you don't like this setup, and you want a one-piece setup, if you can still get it, you could get an OEM line for an 064. And you know, it's just solid one-piece line. But same line fits several saws, in my understanding. But that's where we're at now. I think next I'll probably get the recoil out and get it cleaned up and back on. I'll bring you guys back then. Well, guys, sadly enough, that's about all we're going to have time for today in this segment of this. Just been in and out of here. It's been hectic. Hectic, rather. I did get a new rope in the recoil assembly. I've got a little more cleaning to do on it and then make sure these paws are okay. In the next video, hopefully we'll get the carb rebuilt, get the recoil on it, and I think I'm going to have to put the muffler in the blast cabinet to get it cleaned up. It's looking pretty rough. Get the plastic and everything cleaned up, and I think we'll have a pretty good old saw here. I'm thinking we've got something good to work with here now, but probably be early next week or something before you see another update, but we'll try to get on top of it sooner than later. Y'all have a great weekend.